Hello and welcome to a new lesson. We will continue our learning journey and we will see in this lesson how to manage directories. We will see how can we copy, move, rename and delete directories. Okay, let's start our lesson by creating a new directory for this lesson. Do you still remember which command we used to create a directory? I think you still remember, and if you don't, it's okay, don't worry. So let's remind ourselves to create a directory. Let's type mkdir, then the name of the new directory, which is lesson 6. Now press enter. Okay, now we should see lesson 6 directory if we executed ls command. As you see, we have a new created directory named lesson 6. Now let's go inside this directory. So I will type cd lesson 6. Now press enter. Okay, now we are in lesson 6 directory. And to verify that, let's run the pwd command. As you see, our current working directory is lesson 6. Now let's create some directories inside lesson 6 directory. So let's type mkdir, dir 1, dir 2, dir 3 and dir 4. Now press enter. Now run the ls command. As you see, we have created 4 new directories. Now let's create some files, and to create files I will use the touch command. Then I will type dir 1 / file1.txt, dir 2 / file2.txt. As you see, I am using touch command to create 2 files. The first file named file1.txt, and it will be in dir 1 directory. And the second file is file2.txt, and it will be in dir 2 directory. Now press enter. Okay, now as you see, I have created 4 directories and 2 files. So let's start managing directories. But first, let me clear the screen and let's run the ls command. Now let's start our lesson by copying dir 3 directory to dir 4 directory. So let's type cp, then the name of directory I want to copy, dir 3, then type the destination directory, which is dir 4 directory. So the cp command here should copy dir 3 directory to dir 4 directory. Now press enter. As you see, we got a message that says omitting directory. I was expecting this message because we can't copy directories without adding an option to the cp command. So to copy a directory to another directory in Linux, we should add the -r option to the cp command. So the command should be cp space -r, then the source directory, then the destination directory. Now press enter, and as you see, now we didn't get any error message, which means that dir 3 has been copied to dir 4 directory. So let's verify that by running ls dir 4. As you see, dir 3 is there and it has been copied to dir 4 directory. Now let's move dir 3 directory to dir 1 directory. And as we said before in our last lesson, there's a difference between moving and copying files or directories is that the moving command is totally move the file or the directory to the new destination. Now let's move dir 3 to dir 1 directory by running mv dir 3, then the destination directory, which is dir 1 directory. And let's add the -v option to check what's happening. Now press enter to execute the command. As you see, dir 3 directory has been moved to dir 1 directory. And if we run ls, you can see that dir 3 is not there anymore because we moved it to dir 1 directory. Now let's rename dir 4 directory. And if you still remember from our last lesson, we use the mv command to rename files and directories. So let's type mv then dir 4 and the new name for dir 4, which is dir 44. So this command will rename dir 4 directory to dir 44. Now press enter and run ls. As you see, we have the dir 44 directory, which is the renamed directory of dir 4. Now let me clear the screen. And until now we have seen how to copy, move and rename directories. So let us see how can we delete directories using the rmdir command. But first, let's create a new directory. So type mkdir dir 8. Now press enter and run ls. As you see, we have created a directory named dir 8 directory. Now let's delete dir 8 directory using rmdir command. So let's type rmdir, then dir 8. Now press enter and let's run ls. As you see, dir 8 is not there because we have deleted it using the rmdir command. Now let's try to delete another directory using the rmdir. Let's try to delete dir 1 directory. So let's type rmdir, then the directory name, which is dir 1. Now press enter. As you see, I got an error message, failed to remove dir 1, and the reason is directory not empty. Of course, I am expecting this error, but I want you to see it to make you remember this error and to let you know that we can't delete non-empty directory using rmdir command. So the rmdir command is using to delete an empty directory only. So how can we delete non-empty directory? To delete a non-empty directory, we use the rm command and the -r option. So let's try to delete dir 1 directory using the rm command. So I will type rm, then -r option, and let's add the v option 2, then type the directory name, and in our case I want to delete dir 1 directory, so I will type dir 1. Now press enter. As you see, we removed dir 1 directory and we also removed all dir 1 content. And by deleting directory, we get to the end of our lesson. Thank you for watching and see you in next lesson.